Hey, welcome back to Biz Talk TV. I'm your business host and guide, Michael Rager. And this time, I got somebody in studio, David Mossberg. David, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Michael?
Oh man, it's unbelievable. I'm going to Mexico next week, so I'm happy. I'm going to go out there and meet with my partner from Australia, have a couple bourbons and cigars. It's going to be a good week.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
All right, man. So we both kind of work with businesses. We got kind of, consult, coach with them. What are some of the challenges that you see with most businesses when you first sit down with them?
I think, Michael, that's a really good question. So before we even start engaging with them, we do a discovery call. Discovery is not kind of a new terminology, but I really like the thought process, and we dig into discovery. We want to know a couple things about them, and this is where we start that challenge search. We're looking for what's keeping them from excelling in their business. So we're trying to figure out the natural barriers that they have within themselves. And so we try and uncover that really early in the relationship. But the biggest challenge is making sure that they stay focused. I think that as we start to create action plans, and what we try and do is leave every meeting with 1 or 2 things to accomplish, not 10 things to accomplish,
right,
not 20 things to accomplish, 1 thing to accomplish this week, so we can move past that. When we hit a barrier on that one thing, what we've realized is we're trying to go against the person's nature. If they're not natured to do bookkeeping and they're supposed to do something with the books that week, we revisit that the next week. What was the barrier? Things happen, life happens. So if it wasn't a life happens issue, we then go back, Michael, and then we say, okay, we start to uncover the fact that they're just not going to do that. So what we do is we say, okay, who are we going to assign that to? Is there someone on staff that can be trained to do that? Do we want to outsource at this point? What do we want to do to get past that so we can get on to the next action item and then the next action item?
Yeah, one of the things I've found is before focus is clarity.
Yeah.
Is really where am I going and why am I going? And then honestly understanding really where I am. Because how often you sit down with a business owner, you sit and talk with them, because I know you look at their books too, and they think they're here and they ain't nowhere near there.
That's right.
How often does that happen?
I think it's probably a 50-50 question, right? I think by the time we get people, they know they want to get to try and figure out how to get to their goal. But like you said, a lot of times they come and their goal is a little bit, it's either not specific, or it's really, like you said, not clear, right? You mentioned clarity. So one of the things we do is try and go back, help them to define what that goal is. Then we can go back and create action items that go with that goal, and then revisit what triggers are going to say, hey, we're never going to accomplish that goal, or we need to go ahead and increase the goal. We achieved it sooner than we thought, or right on time, but keep going from there. So clarity is extremely important.
Yeah, sure. It's one of the things that I look at, and I used to get frustrated when these guys come in there, and I get when the good to great thing was coming out, everybody's talking about BHAGs and all this. And I'm just like, man, I don't want you focusing 10 years down the road. You can't see it. It's such in my view, I look at it such a mess. Let's get focused on 3 years. I can really focus on 3 because I was taught that most people overestimate what they can do in 1, but really underestimate what they can do in 3.
Absolutely.
So when you're sitting there helping people plan and you're looking, how far off do you like to help them plan, and what do you look at with your companies?
That's such a great question, because one of the things that I started to do in the last year, 2023, I started the philosophy of, instead of going with people and visiting on their 1, 3, 5, 10-year goals, I said, let's re-engineer goal setting. We don't put timelines at all to it. We put action to it. So my bride and I just recently started talking about the fact that we wanted to buy a vacation home. And instead of saying, okay, in 3 to 5 years we want to do this, I said, well, how much does that home cost? How much more do I need to do, or what do I need to earn in order to be able to get to the threshold where we can go ahead and make the purchase? And what do we need to do as a team to be able to get there? What kind of time do I need accessible to me? How will we communicate on the goal? And then I took that right into businesses and started to say, hey, instead of going, okay, where do we want to be in 3 years? Let's say, where do we want to be? Period. What's our goal? So if our goal is to increase revenue by $500,000, then we start making action items that don't strictly set us to a timeline. So like you said, we can start to accomplish a lot more. I think it was, I read an article that Elon Musk was in, and it said something like, everyone should set their 10-year goals to a 1-year timeline. That way, if they get 50% of their goal, they've achieved 5 times what they would have achieved if they set a 10-year goal. Yeah,
I see it. I see it as well, and I think a lot of people, especially that clarity side, they have a hard time focusing. You said focus is a big thing, because business owners, we get pulled off the minutia. We start doing the BS and stuff that we don't need to be doing, and as consultants and coaches and who we are, it's our job to bring them back. Because 9 times out of 10. I got one right now, and I'm like, hey, you got to put on the blinders. You're like the horse in the Kentucky Derby. You're seeing so many things. I've got an attention span of a gnat, and so does she. So how do you look at that, and how do you help your clients, stay focused? You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, again, we focus on the goals. One of the other things I like to do is I really like tangible things, right? And so one of the places that I have them make a list, so we'll write down the goal, we'll write down what we're trying to accomplish for the week, literally on a Post-it note, and then we'll make a few of them. The first place it is on their mirror where they get ready in the morning. Yep. This is what I got to do today. Another place is around their debit or credit card that they're carrying around in their wallet. So every time they pull it out, oh, did I accomplish that today? Or this week or whatever it is. And then I also tell them to get one accountability partner, like a spouse, like a good business person, like a good friend that's actually going to tell them the truth. And then I tell them, make sure that they're calling you once a week or twice a week. Then, of course, we have the world of automations, right? So we have the ability to go ahead and set something up that automatically will send you a text and say, hey, Michael, you said you were going to eat better this week. How you doing? Sorry to bring up that before you make
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. No, it's one of the things that I'm telling you, my trainer was telling me the same thing. I got a trainer now because I decided I want to be slimmer. I was going to try to get my bikini body before I got there, but I started way too late, man. I started way too late. So some of the things I've been seeing you do, recently since we connected a few weeks ago, is I've been, seeing you. You've been doing panel discussions. You've been doing live interviews. How does that help you, drive business to your business?
It's a great question. What I've done is really dedicated that time to just giving back to the community. So I'm not trying to drive business through those activities, although, of course, naturally people come up to me after an event like yesterday. I had a couple of great folks stop by. Hey, can we talk? Can we engage? And oftentimes it just happens naturally. And so what we typically do is we hit a pain point. Right. In our discussion yesterday, we talked to a bunch of real estate agents, and it was a great conversation. And one of the things that we specifically spoke about was making sure in real estate that you're treating, most agents don't treat their activities as a business.
No, they
right?
don't.
In the world of real estate, they have 2 or 3 metrics. Top line, number of transactions, number of sales, total number of sales per transaction, right? That's it. They don't look at the bottom line at all. And so I hit a point with a lot of them because they're running hard, they're highly successful, they're selling hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of real estate every month, but they're not bringing the money home. They're not seeing the benefits. And so we talked about that and how we keep track of that. As soon as I hit that, all of a sudden people started walking up to me going, can you help me do that? Can you help me track that? And so it was a great conversation, and that's how it leads people to my business.
Yeah, I know. I saw that I was out, and I met a guy that owned a small real estate firm a few years ago, and he's like, man, we go to all these things, and they got us running, hundreds of phone calls and this, and he goes, it's killing me. It's burning me out. It's like, well, I know you guys got to step back. You can't do this. You can't push like that hard all the time. Even the great ones take a rest. LeBron James sits out and he takes a drink of water and he gets back in there and gets going when they're playing hoops. I know you're a hockey guy. Me too. And I grew up in Michigan, so I'm a big Red Wings fan. So tell me a little bit about, we're coming into Q4 right now. We're just into it. We dipped our toe. What are you doing in your business to make sure that you're going to be successful and close out this year strong?
Fortunately for us, we're already closed out the year. I typically tell people if by the end of the third quarter you haven't closed out your year, you've got a lot of work to do because you should be planning the beginning of your next year already. And so the things that we do is we do a little housekeeping this time of the year. We kind of go back our last our second to last tax deadline, our big tax deadline just happened. We have another one coming up in November. But what we really focus on is, okay, let's do some evaluations. How are we doing as a team? Who on our team is the highest, most successful person? Who is the lowest? Who do we need to spend some time working with? We really do a lot of mirror testing as well. Have we achieved the goals that we set out to achieve, whether it was a timeline driven or not? What are we doing to serve our customers better? And how do we turn it up a notch? I just recently reread a book that I really like called Unreasonable Hospitality. And the book is really talking about constantly looking for a way to make it a little bit better as they were going through their journey to become from a 2-star restaurant to a 4-star restaurant in New York City, which is not easy to do, right? And so every year they were kind of coming up with 1 or 2 more things that they could do better, more proficient. We look at our clients as a whole as well and see who is becoming successful and what are they doing differently than the people who were, again, finding that are losing focus more frequently or things that are just not really gaining traction. And so we go back and we say, how can we do better for that person?
Right. So David, we got about 25 seconds left. How do people get a hold of you?
People can get a hold of us by going to thepocketprotectors, plural.com, or just email me at david@thepocketprotectors.com.
All right, man. It's been a pleasure. Enjoyed having you on today.
Thanks.
Looking forward to seeing you more on LinkedIn. I saw
awesome.
you know, you're out there with my friend Taylor, David Smith. Know them both well.
Oh, yeah, great.
So it's, you know, great people, and keep doing the work, keep giving it back.
Thank you so much.
All right. This is Michael Rager, your business guide here on Biz Talk TV, Now Media Television. We'll be back with more right after this.